husband's family is against our marriage because of who I am.
Oh, that sounds real bad.
Trigger warning.
Oh, it sounds even worse.
My husband, 27 male, and I, 27 female, have been married 3 years, together 5. He is African American, and I am half Hispanic, half Middle Eastern, or white because I am not black. By the way, this comes from Throw Away the and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, for all intents and purposes, I pass for a completely non-ethnic person, so that probably makes it harder to see me as a minority. And yes, I do speak fluent Spanish and have been out of the country, but none of that is obvious to anyone. My issue is that my husband's family so obviously doesn't like me because I'm not black. He is the only male out of 5 children, and that alone is reason enough in their eyes to be disappointed in who he chose. My husband has confirmed that he feels the same. He agrees that they don't like me because I'm not black. I'm also short and curvy. His family is tall and lanky. He says that they expected him to be with a tall black woman with the perfect figure. Going further, their dislike of me has been very obvious from the get-go. Before I met his mother, I sent her flowers.
Super huge W move right there.
Yeah, that's what I did. She returned my flowers. Dang, that did not happen to me. That's ouch. And got me a refund. When we visited for the first time, I was treated like an annoying pest who was where I wasn't invited. First time we visited, we stayed 2 weeks because we lived across the country. We have since moved within driving distance. I was ignored, cut off from conversation, and made to listen to all of their crappy opinions on white people. They would act weird when I walked into a room and stare at me while I ate. And that was just upon first meeting them. None of it even makes sense because they live in a $500,000 home. It's literally the biggest house I've ever seen. Every single time we have visited, I have to listen to stories about how white people are building up their area in order to push them out and how white people have so much influence. It's like they wait to say it around me because they love to see how uncomfortable I get.
Literally.
Because I don't really have any input. I myself did not grow up around any American people and had no issue with them. Any American people in general? It doesn't matter how many times I told them that I'm not white, or that I'm Jewish, or that I have my own relatives who were unalived in the Holocaust, and so I have my own fair share of whining I could be doing. None of it matters. To them, I am not black, so I must be white. Well, I'm not discounting anything that you're going through, but I think that, like, I don't know if the best argument to be is like, I'm not white, like bringing up other things. I don't know if that's like the best way to kind of stop the conversation, you know?
Yeah, I think
To
the
be like,
best
I'm Jewish.
way about this is just be like, do you guys have a problem with me? Like,
yeah,
you just be like,
don't, like, I feel
don't let it be like, ooh, like
the
maybe
trauma
it's
Olympics
about,
thing, like just be like, hey, like, is there a problem? Like,
you have a problem with me?
Yeah.
I feel like you do. I feel like you have problems with me.
Their sisters also always make the same comments, how somewhere we are going is discriminatory or how something I want to do is discriminatory. They get off on this crap. Another thing, mom orders me around the house like a literal slave. She speaks in a very demeaning and condescending tone and orders me to do this or that rather than ask me to do this or that. She would get in my face over something someone else in the house did. She would corner me and instruct me to work in the kitchen and yell commands at me and tell me how to do things as if I were and she has to. I think she would do it because it gave her the kicks to order around a white person. I would put up with this mainly because we were hours away from home and it's hard to defend myself when I'm in someone else's house and they're surrounded by an army of people who are willing to go to bat at any second. I have told my husband about this and he blew it off enough times that I have refused to visit his family anymore. They're also very judgmental of me and conversations usually involve a string of passive-aggressive, underhanded, condescending comments followed by how I react to them. That's about it. When we first got married, everyone in the family refused to acknowledge it and did not attend the ceremony. We invited them to visit us and eventually they came. To celebrate our marriage, I wanted to go to my favorite Jewish restaurant. We went and everyone sat quiet. No one discussed our recent marriage or future or anything. It seemed like a funeral. The mother got up and disappeared. We later found her sitting in the car. She said that she didn't feel comfortable being in a restaurant that didn't have black people. This was an effing Jewish restaurant. Although there are black Jews, this particular restaurant was for either older white men or younger hipster people due to playing live music.
Just imagine the reversal of this situation. You know, just imagine someone being like, I couldn't be in that restaurant because there's no white people. It'd be like, whoa, whoa. That's, and then
okay,
it's just a weird way to view what you're doing. Where it's like, there's not enough black people in here. I can't be here.
I disagree.
All right, that's fine.
I disagree. I think that in this context, she is trying to make OP uncomfortable just because of everything else we learned. But I think that when you're like a minority or a part of a minority group and you are surrounded, like you're kind of like on the outs of something and you're surrounded by people who aren't like no other minorities, it can be very like uncomfortable. It was revolting that she said that. The whole night was basically made about her and how she didn't see any black people. No one said anything nice about our marriage. We eventually went home and I was literally the only one to have a slice of the $500 wedding cake we bought just for us to share to celebrate. They gave us some crappy dollar store gifts and went to bed. It seemed like everyone was depressed that we got married. His sisters had started to like me for me at some point, but whenever they get too close to me, they always back off. One of his sisters has an African-American boyfriend who literally has nothing going for him, just your typical loser/dreamer, but his family takes him very seriously. And he is always invited to everything and is even expected to marry the sister. The mother is basically crazy about him and supports his pipe dreams as real destiny. It's painfully obvious that she just likes him because he's not white. I have even had several talks with him in which the boyfriend revealed that he is happy that his relationship isn't being treated like ours and that he would not stay if it were like that. I have also had to sit there for hours and listen to his father go on and on about slavery and how white people did this and that. I don't mind discussing it. What bothers me is that they don't want to hear about my own history, being that we're always talking about history. I have an amazing story about how my grandparents escaped the Holocaust and went to Argentina and changed their last name to fit in. I have stories of actual persecution to me and not people from the past. Well, I'm sure they also have persecution, like stories about them.
Everybody is victimized in life to some degree, but it's like also the context is OP is not American, so it's like as Americans we are like really like drilled with this
really huge,
which I think kind of creates that kind of it can create almost like an environment where people are like aware of like our history and the pretext of like today, but it also can get in the way of just being like, can we just like get along? Because then it's like, well, no, because you guys did this to us. And it's like you can take any color out of it, just make that the context of, hey, can we be cool? No, because you did this to us in the past. But take any American context out of it. It's like that just can get in the way if it's a full focal point constantly.
Yeah, but then also like
I'm not saying it didn't happen.
No, but it's still happening is the problem.
There are marginalized, communities and marginalized people, but they're living in a $500,000 mansion.
I mean, they are in a different tax bracket.
You know.
And they experience different oppression.
It's just one of those things where it's like, can we talk about something else? I'm not the one that did this.
They refuse to listen to my own history, and I think it's because they need to feel like they are telling a horrible white person about how crappy they are. They can't be reminded that I have nothing to do with that. When I told them that I am raising my children Jewish, they said okay and changed the subject. I changed it back and made a little joke about how all of our kids should have little bar mitzvahs. Oh, we're not into that, and they just moved on. I was trying to get them to talk about me for a change. They have even carefully crafted situations in which they pretend they will visit, but drop out at the last minute because of me, and it's because they want my husband to see me as evil and trying to tear their family apart. The story just goes from there, but you get it at this point. I love my husband to and he is mainly why I put up with it for so long, until I finally said I wouldn't be visiting anymore. I just want to understand why black families do this. I have feelings too. I have cried so many times from stuff they have said. I have left their house feeling worthless. Why does this go on? Why do they see this as right? My husband is trying to talk to them, but they won't admit to anything, so it's a lost cause. And edit, didn't expect anyone to comment. A bunch of people have accused my post of being made up for the purpose of trolling or that I'm actually a discriminatory or something else worse. Let me just say that is the most disgusting thing I've ever been accused of. My marriage to my husband is the most sacred thing to me, and to take crappy grammar on my part, crack pipe dreams, obviously meant pipe dreams. Oh, sorry, I was crying and upset. Whatever, and take other little nuggets out of context and twist them to your liking is so horribly harmful it's not even funny. Congratulations, OP, you've married a guy who has no spine. Your husband has not stood up for you at all, and this situation has gotten out of control. Reply, that's one thing that stuck out for me reading this. There's hardly any mention of the husband at all. Is he just sitting around on his butt while his family is treating his wife this way? There seems to be absolutely zero consequences for his family acting like this. He needs to get his act together and put his foot down. The two of them need to be a united front. He needs to refuse to subject himself and his wife to a discriminatory, toxic environment. Zero visits/contact until they can adjust their behavior. This whole situation is ridiculous and, like you said, has gotten way out of control. I can't even imagine what will happen if/when a child comes into the mix if the situation doesn't change. OP says this is so true. Once we were sitting in the backyard and his mother cornered me and started badgering me and making a mockery of several things she knew about me. I was basically stuck there until she was finished and walked back inside. Husband was sitting right next to me. After the ride home, I walked inside the house and burst into tears, and because I felt so humiliated. He comforted me but maintained that he didn't hear anything, sitting right next to me. Your husband needs to deal with this. He needs to do more than just tell them about it. He needs to tell them that their behavior and treatment of you is unacceptable and needs to change. This should leave them no room to deny specific behaviors because he was not specific. If he is strong enough mentally/emotionally to stand up against them, he can tell them they are being discriminatory bullies. He doesn't need them to admit that. He just needs them to know it's unacceptable and to take him seriously when he tells them it needs to stop. He may have to threaten to cut contact too and mean it. Imagine how horrible they will be to your children. This needs to be dealt with before you have children, or the children need to be kept away from them too. Ask your husband to picture his family doing everything they did to you, to your future daughter or son. Opie says, I'm seriously afraid his family would talk crap about me to my kids. Once my dad talked crap about my husband, and I quickly cut him off and told him I don't want to hear it. And there is an update.
Another update.
Dang. Yeah. I don't know if this, I mean, right now, unless your husband kind of stands up for you.
I don't know. There needs to be a conversation about, like, why are you not getting involved? And I feel like the answer is just going to be because she's scary and she's going to yell at me. Like, I don't want my mom to be scary and yell at me.
I also think maybe her and her husband can have like a conversation about where they're coming from culturally, because it seems like she's not American. They have very different kind of like experiences in the world, and I feel like maybe they could have a conversation about that, because I think it's important when you're like in an interracial marriage to understand where you're coming from, like in life and stuff.
Yeah.
Like potentially that could also help. There is an update though. I mean, well, this is my update. Race relations, so to speak, have not gotten any better. No matter how hard I've tried to integrate seamlessly into the fold. I'm now pregnant with the first grandchild of the family, and this pregnancy has been met with a combination of condescendingly disingenuous enthusiasm and begrudging acceptance.
That's a lot of colorful adjectives right there.
Basically, they're happy that their son/brother is having a child, but that happiness does not extend to me. I think sometimes they get excited, but then they remember that the baby is also half of me. So they pipe down and get over it. It's very sad because we spent about 2.5 years trying to get pregnant.
God.
They more or less ignore the whole pregnancy and pretend to make a big deal whenever my husband asks them if they even care. That is when all the gifts they have been buying suddenly come into play. Also, I believe that having the first grandchild in the family is an honor I seemingly stole from his sisters as an outsider. I think they feel like the first grandchild should have been one of them, and I'm taking away the glory. This is speculation. However, his sisters are known to jump through hoops to be in the center of admiration, and it's no wonder this pregnancy is being passed over as if I'm merely a family friend and not carrying their blood. His mother makes fun of me for having long hair and being extremely into fashion and makeup. She laughs at it like it's pathetic and has told me on numerous occasions to cut my hair. I haven't heard her telling any of her daughters to cut their long hair. No, I must cut my hair. When we came up with the baby names, we placed each of his parents' name in each of the baby name options, depending on gender, and it doesn't seem like a big deal to anyone. I didn't do that to impress them. My husband was adamant that his parents' names be included, and so that is what we did. He even wanted to include the name of a stillborn his mother had, so we did that. It was like not a big deal to her. To me, I feel like including the name that was associated with the stillborn that she mentions a minimum of once a week is weird to me. But I assume that it would be a nice tribute for her. As she gets emotional talking about it, she just doesn't care though. Again, my husband suggested it and I'm fine with it, but it seems like there's just no way they will allow me to emotionally connect with them. Anytime I've tried to respectfully bring up things that I want to communicate for the better, I'm always accused of tearing the family apart. For example, just today, we sent a text to all of his sisters asking if they could please make an effort to meet us halfway with visits and celebrations because we're having a baby. We live 2.5 hours away and drive there frequently while they don't visit us ever. And we want to see them visit us more, as 100% of the time we are asked to be somewhere for someone, we are always there. So I said, let's have more family togetherness. I asked if they can spend the holidays near us because I cannot leave the area since I'll be due and I can only go to one hospital. Plus, I need to be near my oncologist as well. The responses added up to Stop tearing this family apart with your drama. Bye.
Oh, you're so dramatic not being able to drive 2.5 hours as a new parent.
I don't know if I would want to have a child with someone who's like when there is so much turmoil that is not being addressed.
Yeah, I think they're just really in love with their partner and they're, compartmentalizing the fact that this family is going to also be involved in your child's life.
Yeah. My husband was livid and just went at it with them about everything I have posted here about. I kept messaging as well, asking my husband to let everyone else speak because we don't want to turn this into anything bad, but it did. They basically shut down on us and stopped responding, and all of his sisters had their say on basically how crappy I am. I will admit that one sister did text me privately to empathize with me, but I would have liked that support out in the open. Anyway, that's my update. Our marriage is very strong and we're very happy for the baby. And I hope that once I am physically holding the baby in my arms, I'll have some value. If not, I hope that the baby does get the benefits of a strong extended family unit, even if I don't. Edit, one of the sisters texted me saying she wanted to get her story straight and would call me tomorrow. I don't know if she's attempting to work things out over the visit situation, which again would be private, so that no one else knows, because none of them want to admit to each other that they may not think I'm total garbage. So I'll see. My husband doesn't want to talk to her and texted her saying if she calls, don't call him because he has nothing to say. I'll see what she has to say and hopefully I'll be able to update with a resolution to that particular issue. Hopefully. Edit 2, I have received so many valuable replies here that have opened my eyes to information and possible scenarios that I didn't even consider. I want this baby to have a good extended family, but the worst fear would be this baby getting the brunt of the indifference, while future cousins do not. I couldn't imagine that. But I can imagine you guys listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story. Any final thoughts?
I have a friend who's kind of in the same boat where it's like his family is being like, why don't you ever come visit us? He's like, no, I have. And it's y'all don't actually come visit me. So I'll see you when you do that. And that's essentially what you should do here. They're like, nope, we refuse to come out. You're just being dramatic. You're trying to tear the family apart. You go, okay, well, since we're brand new parents, I guess we won't be driving out there, so I'll see you when we see you. Yeah. And leave it at that.
Yeah. I think you need to set up more boundaries. Talk to your partner about all of this.
It sounds like he was standing up for it at the end there.
At the end.
It sounds like he's like,
But I think this is an ongoing conversation you have to have with your partner about how much contact you want to have with the family.
This is pretty
sounds
pretty bad.
Yeah. His sister hasn't called yet, but I woke up to a text of her saying that she is fearful of my husband.
What?
It makes no sense. He just told him the clear-cut truth about how he feels, and now she's claiming she's afraid of him? I sent her a long text explaining that she's insane for even taking offense at our initial text about visits, and that at most I expected maybe discussing future plans. I had no idea anyone in the world could be offended by being asked to visit more often. I decided that it's not what I said, but it's the fact that I implied that they are not perfect. That's all I can figure. If she does call, and if anything develops, I will update, but let me just say this community is one of the best in Reddit because while many of the replies are harsh, they are harsh for a reason. No one is here to sugarcoat good, solid advice. And that is the end of that story. My boyfriend's family is unsupportive of our relationship. They got cut off.
Get out of here.
And trigger warning, there is some involved in this story. So, I am of South Indian descent. My boyfriend and his family are Filipino. He and I have been together for about 5 months. Shout out to
No.
Shout out to our boy behind the camera, Keon. He is half Filipino, so he can half relate to this.
I cannot half relate to no.
By the way, this comes from random person, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So now I'm very from a multicultural city, so I've dated outside my race before, but it's never really been a problem until now. I had reservations about dating him because I knew his family was devout Catholic, his parents and younger sister, not him. I had a feeling it would be difficult to find common ground with them, but I decided to go for it despite that because I like him and I can honestly see a future with him if things between us stay on track. I'm fine with the occasional ignorant remark when it comes to spicy food, cab drivers, convenience store clerks, and whatever other Indian stereotypes there are. But his family doesn't make the occasional dumb joke. They make it personal, as though they want me to be uncomfortable.
Blatant racial discrimination. The things his family has said to me, I don't even know where to start. His mother and sister are very subtle about it, but at the same time, not really. I'm a little darker than them, which I don't think is an issue at all, but to them it is. They always make remarks about how dark I am, how interesting it is that I'm still considered pretty even though I'm dark, etc. Oh my gosh, what?
Oh, I have a feeling about this Filipino family.
With being Indian, I've dealt with colorism within my own culture before, so I know how to brush it aside and not take it personally. But then his mother gave me face cream and soap that's supposed to make your skin lighter. She basically wants me to bleach my skin. LMAO. My boyfriend was really embarrassed when that happened and had a talk with his mother about never doing anything like that again. And she listened at first, but then it started again. She, her husband, and their daughter treat me like I grew up in a jungle or something. They just assume my parents are uneducated and don't speak proper English because of our race. The truth is, my parents are lawyers and have lived in Canada since the 70s. Their English is better than mine, and I've lived here my entire life. But even if they were fresh off the boat, what right does that give anyone to judge them? This type of treatment is common from wealthy and or upper middle class, I'm just gonna say it, white people. But his parents don't fit that description at all. They're Filipino. They run a few Filipino grocery stores in the city, and they went through their own struggles when they immigrated here in the early 90s. So why attack another minority? It doesn't make sense.
Also, hot take here.
Okay, I'm scared.
Yes, please.
I do see this remarks and the discriminatory. Also, I feel like it's hierarchy. Whenever some people are better off than other people, they just want to put other people down, and they feel like they have the right to do it instead of being kind and loving people.
So maybe they're just grasping at straws of how to insult
I think so. I think they just like putting people down. And, probably from things from the past, they were put down before. So it feels like, it's a natural cycle to put other people down. And it's such a hard thing to break in such a, messed up world we live in.
Sure.
But it's just so sad to see that it's happening in real time.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's clear that they would prefer that he date a light-skinned Asian girl, and that's fine. But at this point, they've attacked my skin color, my family's financial background, my morals, my hygiene, and my intelligence, all because I'm Indian and darker than them. My boyfriend is on the verge of cutting them off, and even though I do think it would be a good wake-up call for them, I feel bad because they're still his family. His dad isn't that bad, but I'm sure half the things his mother said is on his dad's behalf. His sister is a nightmare, and I'm pretty confident that she's a little jealous of me. I do well for myself career-wise, and I drive a nice car. And I don't have solid evidence, but I'm about 90% sure that she keyed my car on Christmas. I dropped by his parents' house that afternoon to pick him up on the way to my parents' Christmas party. He needed help loading some gifts into the trunk, so I popped inside for a minute. His sister was in the driveway at the time, fixing something in her car. When I came back, she was gone, and there was a huge scratch on my car that ran the entire length of the passenger's side. Someone had obviously keyed it, and I know for sure the scratch was not there before. I feel bad for automatically thinking she's responsible, but I wouldn't put it past any of them at this point. I haven't told my boyfriend the truth. I led him to believe that someone had keyed the car outside of my building. I don't want to put him in an even worse position than he already is in, because honestly, I'm not losing sleep over this. I've dealt with before. I had the crap punted out of me in high school because of my race, so this isn't really that huge to me. More of an inconvenience than anything. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it seems like you come to this thing happens before. I've already got the crap beat out of me before. This is nothing, but it's going to have to come to you every Christmas. Every Christmas, you're going to have to deal with this family if you're still with this guy.
Yeah.
Unless he decides to stick up for you and be like, hey, I'm out of here. We're done. We're not doing this anymore.
You don't have to put up with it just because you've had worse in the past. I don't think he's seen this side of them before. He's more hurt by all of this than I am. And I understand why. He brought someone home thinking his family would be supportive of the relationship, but all they've done is say and do things to make me feel uncomfortable, and at times disgusting. He was in shock at first, didn't know how to react or what to do, but he's pretty much reached his limit. I don't want to steer him in either direction. I want him to decide on his own so he doesn't end up resenting me later. He's tried talking to them about it, but they don't take his concerns seriously. What's worse than the way they treat me is the way that they treat him. He's their flesh and blood, and they still disrespect him like this? It makes me angry just thinking about it. Should I tell him about the keying incident, or should I just go with the flow and stay out of it? I'm interested to know if anyone else has experienced a situation like this, and if so, how did you handle it? Did the relationship stay afloat?
Angie, if my family didn't like you, would you want to come to Christmas with us?
I would definitely not feel welcomed.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I think you got to sit down, be like, hey, boyfriend, I am not going to put up with all of my holidays looking like this. I know, like, I don't want my key to be card every Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about this?
Yeah.
Are they going to cut them off?
Yeah, or at least bring it up as like a possible thing. Like, because I mean, it's hard because it looks like the boyfriend is doing something, which in a lot of the stories that we read, it's like the boyfriend is just, ignoring the problem, but he's not. He's like standing up to his parents, but they're just dismissing him too.
Yeah, they're just out of it. Is this relationship worth going no contact with that side of the family? If not, might need to break up or, kind of find other situations. But I'm leading on either breaking up or he goes no contact, but that's huge ask for your partner.
Yeah. But anyway, there is an edit and an update here. Edit: things are getting ugly in the comments. There's no reason to suggest an act of racial discrimination against his family. Two wrongs don't make a right, etc. The issue is that his family is discriminatory, not that they're Filipino or that I'm dating down, whatever the heck that means. I included their racial background in the OP to give you an idea as to the social norms that could very well play a part in all of this. I don't think I'm better than him or his family. Please keep that in mind. And with that, I think we should just roll right into the update.
Head first in a 5-foot deep pool.
Before the actual update, I'd like to touch on a few things. Boyfriend and I haven't been in a relationship for long. It's only been 5 months, but we've known each other for quite a while. We met 2 years ago through mutual friends and went to the same parties, get-togethers, etc. So there is a level of history and understanding there. I'm from Vancouver. Over here, there isn't much of a difference between the average South Indian and the average Filipino. In terms of the socioeconomic scale, we're pretty much the same. Doesn't matter either way, just painting a more vivid picture. Our parents have never been introduced. There have been a few occasions where they could have met, but I've tried my best to avoid it for now. If I annoy his family so much, I can only imagine how bad my lawyer parents would annoy them. They annoy me half the time. Ha ha ha. Maybe it wasn't clear in the original post, but I'm not around his family every day or even every other day. I'd say about once or twice a month on average. And he doesn't live with them. He has his own place. The reason I picked him up from their house on Christmas is because he was staying there over the holidays. Last but not least, boyfriend has been sticking up for me throughout this whole ordeal. He hasn't once let anything slide. I know for sure he would not have letting the keying slide had I told him from the jump. For that reason, I kept it quiet. The last thing I wanted was for him to confront her without evidence. What if she didn't actually do it? I mean, I'm pretty sure she did, but still, they don't get along to begin with. His sister has always been very competitive with him in terms of who looks better to their parents. I'm sure that's a part of the reason that she has taken their parents' side. She wants their approval, maybe. That said, I ended up telling him about the keying incident last night, regardless of how weird it felt to talk about something that happened a month ago. And the funny thing is, he wasn't shocked.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's just my mom, Were all your tires filled up? Okay, good. Glad they
cool.
were.
Ooh, okay. Whew. Dodged a bullet there.
Could have been worse.
He told me he had suspected as much at the time and had actually asked his sister about it a day or two after Christmas. She flat out denied it, and although he didn't believe her, there wasn't much he could do. I haven't seen his family since the holidays, but a cousin of his, with whom I went to high school and have known for a really long time, she invited me to her engagement dinner. I suspect I'll see his sister and parents there. Kind of unavoidable, really, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. And by the way, what's absolutely unavoidable is the fact that we have full episodes, more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. I was on Audible the other day and I searched us up and sure enough, we were there. We were there.
We're on Audible?
We're on Audible. Yeah. There's a little bit more into the story, but what are our thoughts so far?
I didn't get anything from that.
It was kind of just like adding more to,
it's like,
to what we already know.
I was hoping some throwdown, he's going to cut off family. Nah, he's like, basically, hey, mom, did you key your car?
Is his sister.
Hey, sister, did you key your car?
Mhm.
No.
Well, dang.
All right, I guess I'm going to see him soon.
Yeah, I feel like OP is going about this in a good way, though.
Oh, yeah.
I think it definitely would come across like it would probably make things worse if she was like, the sister did it. Like, everyone, get her. Get him, everyone. And then, like, she didn't say anything.
Yeah, she knows she's not the problem.
Yeah. And the boyfriend knew anyway. So it's like the problem is already being addressed.
Yeah.
Even though it's not solved, it's being addressed. But she doesn't have any like part in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's just the victim. But there is a little bit more to the story. So in the meantime, he told me he's 100% done with his family's crap. No family dinners or visits. According to him, the only way to get the message across is to do something like this. He's tried talking sense into them multiple times, but they don't care. Hopefully all goes well, and thank you so much for all your advice. Edits, shaking my head. This isn't India versus Philippines. If you want to take it there, kindly F off. I know plenty of Filipinos who are amazing people, and my boyfriend is obviously one of them.
Hi.
So is Keon.
Hi, hello.
Aw.
We love our.
Let's
love
go.
our-
Yay!
Shout out to the
We love
Philippines.
our Filipino producer.
Someone here doesn't like the Philippines.
Double edits. Let's not crap on an entire nation. Yeah, that's the basis of this entire issue, that people judge a whole group of people based on a few crappy encounters. To any Filipinos out there, y'all are great. Your
Woo!
spaghetti is bomb.
It is. It's so good.
Do not take the negative comments to heart. Much love. And that's the end of that story.